Cape York, Queensland's most iconic four-wheel drive destination. It's rugged and remote with miles of rough corrugated roads. Touring this type of country requires a whole lot of gear to ensure your 4B lasts the distance, and a good suspension is one of them.
Now, the average shock absorber wasn't designed to deal with this sort of continued abuse. What happens is it gets hot and doesn't work as it should. And the end result is you've got a really rough ride or you have to slow down.
Our ARB convoy have come prepared for the Cape's craggy conditions. Lockie from Cairns, Mike from Townsville and Gary from Brisbane are all running Old Man Emu suspension and shock absorbers. And what's so important about shock absorbers, you might ask? Think of this as a spring. It's got a lot of stored energy when you bend it. Think bows and arrows and slingshots. And when you hit, say, a big bump in your car and bend that spring, we get this mad oscillation. What we need to control that is a shock absorber. So the bigger the bump or the bigger the load, the stronger the shock absorber has to be to control the movement. But there's one big problem with that. If we have a shocky that strong, it's just impossible to drive around town. But ARB have a new bit of gear that solves all those problems. BP-51s, they've been tagged as the best shock absorber around, both on dirt and bitumen. The BP, which stands for bypass, is the secret to this shock's success. In a shock, the part that does all the work is the valve. Oil flows through it as it opens and closes. When you hit a big bump, you need a strong valve that lets a little bit of oil through. And if the conditions are relatively smooth, you need a soft valve that lets a lot of oil through. Now, it's impossible to have two valves, so the BP has a strong one to handle the rough stuff, and in normal conditions, the oil diverts around the valve through bypass tubes. There are actually a multitude of those bypasses, and they can be adjusted to change the amount of oil that goes in and out, so it changes the characteristics of your shocks. And don't go looking for those bypass tubes on your shocks. They're actually internal, so nothing can get damaged. They're quite incredible. Mike's a Cape regular, which is why he runs Old Man Emus. So how long have you been coming up here, Mike?
Close to 30 years on Old Man Emu, every trip, and never let us down.
Wow. And how's the 200 go? You've got the big BP-51s in this?
It's magic. It's the next level. It's hard to describe how well it handles.
When it's this isolated and you're this far from home, you want to be sure that you equip your 4B with the best gear that you can afford. Because after all, you want to really enjoy that trip of a lifetime, but you still want to get home to tell everyone all about it. So of course, that means getting into your local ARB store. Take it from these guys. They've done it and they know exactly what you need to tackle Cape York.